Hello everyone and welcome to Contentment Guide Astrology. Today's video is about the Mercury retrograde that is starting today, and it's definitely the thing that everyone is talking about at the moment. So I thought I'll give my 50 cents because I feel that Mercury retrograde and retrogrades in general, they have a very bad reputation, and I feel that's totally unfounded. Everything in astrology, every sign, every house, every planet, they have a yin and a yang. They carry different energies that may be positive, that may be seen as positive or may be seen as negative. But at the end of the day, it's all there to help us understand ourselves and to evolve and see the world in a new light. So as far as Mercury retrograde, that usually happens around 3 times a year for about 3 weeks. And just like every planetary transit, each Mercury retrograde is completely unique. It's completely unique because of which house or houses it happens in, and it's completely unique in terms of what aspects it will make and what the planetary rulers are involved in the houses of the transit. So retrograde planets actually really help us in life because as humans, we often understand and evolve by going over things and repeating things in order to see deeper, to understand ourselves better, and sometimes just to really accept the moment that we're in and see what is unfolding in our lives. So retrogrades are actually really helpful and not something to be feared or something to be avoided. So a retrograde draws you more inward. It takes the experience of any planetary energy more into an inward space. And it also brings about any of the rewords, rethinking, reviewing, redoing. And as much as we sometimes don't like redoing things or reviewing things, at the end of the day, those things happen in order to help us to come out in the best possible way that things can unfold. So the unfolding and the reviewing is a very big and beneficial part of life. So with Mercury, we do complain because it can be challenging. Mercury is to do with technology, with communication, with our mind, with thinking, with commerce, and we don't like having trouble with these things. We always hear all the worst aspects of technological problems with devices and this kind of thing. And yes, those can be annoying. But what I would like to bring to you today is that Mercury retrograde is so much to do with mindfulness. It really guides us to, in every possible way, to move a bit slower with our thinking, with our judgments, just becoming more mindful in terms of how we communicate, how we are received, and going deeper inside ourselves and cultivating that mindfulness really, to me, is the best part of the retrograde energy. So with this particular Mercury retrograde, it's starting at 4 degrees of Virgo, and then it retrogrades back to 21 degrees of Leo. So I feel that the main players in this Mercury retrograde is actually, yes, the signs of Virgo and Leo, and also the planets of Mercury and Venus, and the houses in your chart that are ruled by Mercury and Venus. So as this retrograde unfolds, it's starting today, which is where I'm at, is the 5th of August. And then by the 8th of August, it's going to conjoin Venus in the sign of Virgo. And so there's going to be an energetic exchange between Mercury's reviewing and rethinking energies at this time and the energies of Venus. And as we know, we've been very focused on Venus lately, as a lot has happened in the house of Taurus, with different planets conjuncting Uranus at the end of Taurus and causing a lot of change and kind of like tower card moments in our lives, bringing rapid change and new ways of seeing and doing in our lives. So by the 14th of August, we're going to have Mars and Jupiter conjunct in the house of Gemini. And Gemini is also ruled by Mercury, so there's a very strong influence there. And there will be a sextile between the Mercury retrograde and the Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini. So with Mars, things are very action-orientated. It can be a little bit explosive on the more challenging side of Mars. And we need to be mindful of the Mars-Jupiter conjunction date, which is around the 14th. Extra mindful in our thinking and our communications to do with the Mercury retrograde. And then on the 18th of August, Venus in Virgo is going to square Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. So again, we are in the houses ruled by Mercury, and Venus is then making a square to Mars and Jupiter. And squares are more challenging energies, and there can be sudden changes or removals because Mars is involved and Jupiter is expanding this energy. So so the 18th of August I would highlight as one of the days to really keep an eye on this Mercury retrograde and what is unfolding at that time because of the square. On the same day, on the 18th of August, we're also going to have Mercury retrograde squaring Uranus. So apart from Mars already being involved in this, now Uranus is also involved, which brings an extra energy of surprises and sudden changes. And Uranus, like Mercury, is also involved in electronics and electricity. So that is definitely a day on the 18th to be very mindful of what is happening. And there might be sudden things like outages again with electronics and computers and things like that. So yes, so this is definitely still a time with Uranus being involved of great change, and I feel that this retrograde, we're gonna have a very, very different experience of the world in general and our lives by the end of this retrograde. I think a lot of change can happen during this retrograde, and it's going to be so important to stay grounded and stay mindful, and also be gentle and kind to yourself, because it's not always possible to, depending on what's happening in your chart, to be mindful. And we can only do the best we can do to work with the energies. But yes, 18th of August is definitely a day to be mindful of. And then on the 19th of August, Mercury is going to be conjunct the Sun. So between the energies of Mercury and the Sun, there's going to be some insights and some highlights received on that day. So by the 29th of August, Mercury is going to turn direct at 21 degrees of Leo and then start moving forward again. And as it turns direct, it's very, very slow moving, and it's still really in a very introspective kind of energy until it starts gaining a bit of momentum again. And so only by the 12th of September, Mercury is actually going to be out of the retrograde shadow. So yeah, walk with patience and walk gently, because everything that is being reviewed and re-established during this retrograde, you're only going to find some solutions and outcomes by the time the shadow period is over, by the 12th of September. So, and even more so, by the 1st of October, Mercury is then Kazimi the Sun at 8 degrees of Libra. So even though there can be new things and resolutions when Mercury is out of shadow period, there's going to be insights and highlights by the time of the beginning of October, when Mercury is Kazimi the Sun. And then only by the end of October, on the 25th of October, Mercury is appearing as the evening star. So this is quite a process. We often like to think that the Mercury retrograde is complete when it starts moving forward, or even when the shadow period is over. But I feel that the process is so deep, and whatever flows, the seeds that are planted during the retrograde, they start growing, and then they start really flowering by the time Mercury is appearing as the evening star. And this is only by the 25th of October. So yes, work with these energies and be patient, and try to go for mindfulness and kindness and gentleness in communication. And yes, I think good things will come, and really big change is possible during this period. Some of it we might perceive as being challenging, because we are dealing with the energies of Uranus and Mars also involved in this retrograde. But change is coming, and I think change is important. So yes, really try and work with the changes that are appearing in your life during this time. So I also did a Ching reading for the energies of this Mercury retrograde. And as per usual, the Ching was so spot on to really highlight the astrology that is happening. So I threw the coins. I got hexagram 55, which is called abundance. And it says, shining a light on all and eliminating the shadows like the sun at midday. And to me, this is very much around that awareness of going inward and rethinking and reviewing things during the retrograde, and then being able to see more clearly. And when we are during that inward time, we can really see things that were shadows that want to come to light. It says cultivate awareness of when to start and when to stop, and when something has reached its end. So I think this is all very valuable with Mercury retrograde, and really cultivating that mindfulness while this is happening. So then the changing lines bring the hexagram to hexagram 16. And this also is beautiful for the retrograde. It says, preparation now for later enjoyment. Planning is essential. Cultivate inner resources to respond to outer changes. And this is really beautiful. I really feel that this retrograde is drawing us inward to really find our inner resources and become even stronger in being grounded when things can be a bit chaotic and changing on the outside, with the Mars-Jupiter conjunction, with the squares to Uranus that are happening during this retrograde. So yes, that inner foundation is very important to cultivate right now. And then last but not least, I also drew a tarot card for this retrograde, and I received the Ace of Wands. And I love the aces because they always feel like a gift from the universe. So the wand is sprouting leaves. It is alive and growing. There's fertile land around, and this is a time where seeds can be planted and things can start growing. So I feel this is a great card. And don't get despondent when things are a bit chaotic during the retrograde, because by the end of the retrograde, you might have completely new plants that are growing in your garden that you did not expect in the beginning. And I think this is a beautiful outcome, because an ace is a win. The Ace of Wands is to do with inspiration, cultivating your inner power, creation, new beginnings, and potentials. So yes, focus on this Ace of Wands energy as well, while cultivating the mindfulness and the groundedness. And that's going to get us through this Mercury retrograde. As always, thank you so much for being here. I love making these videos and sharing these insights with you. I do private readings. You can contact me through my website. The link is always below the video. And please like, please share, please subscribe. It helps my channel to grow. It helps my business to grow. And I love hearing your input and what is happening in your lives. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.